Let's do a quick walk by the garden and then we'll get out there and look at some things a little closer. We've had some really mild weather we've been enjoying lately, but we're headed back towards the triple digits next week, I hear. So I'm not looking forward to that. As you can see though, the garden's doing great for the most part. There's always problems here and there. Even the bananas are probably over 8 feet tall now, maybe 9, I'm not sure. Here's a look at the carrot rows. I pulled some of those yesterday and we'll be pulling some more off and on here and there. Some of the potatoes are starting to die back quite a bit. These two grow bags here are. So in a couple of weeks I might be harvesting some of those. These I'll harvest a little bit later, I think. And then over here we have some that are really late. And I just planted those as an experiment to see what would happen. And once again, while you're just looking at things, a lot of times you find little unwanted insects, and there's a potato beetle right there. Let's see if we can get a better look at it so you can see what they look like. I'll finish him off in a minute. We're still feeding the orioles. I heard one jibber jabbering just a little bit ago. Then over behind the potatoes we have some sunflowers growing. We have some that we planted and then some volunteers like this one over here. That's a volunteer, came up. So I just let it grow where it came up. We've got another geranium kiss tomato. I really need to prune this one. It's kind of getting out of control. It's got quite a few little tomatoes. They're kind of hard to see, but they're there. Then we got some tomatoes back here in the shade. I need to cut some of this banana foliage back so it can get some sun. Then there's another tomato over there. Then there's that one with the crazy blooms on it. Most of the buds on those are starting to fall off, but we're still getting quite a few tomatoes that are setting on, so it'll be plenty. I finally got a mutant pepper that's getting some peppers on it. They're small, but I think you can see them. And it's got quite a few blooms on it still, so we'll have more to come. And we have more mutants next to those. And that's a pretty pepper there. It's just now starting to get a few peppers growing on it. And then there's another mutant over here. We got some more peppers there. That one is a purple flash crossed with a Matapino. Then over here, one I'll be saving seeds from. It's got variegated foliage, quite a bit of purple in it. And the peppers are kind of cool to look at too, I think. The purple cacho white leaf is kind of rough looking in spots. I keep it a little bit shaded, not too much though. I threw some asparagus seed in with that tomato plant, and there's a few coming up and a couple over in that one too. Those are both purple rain, and I planted them very late to see if we could have some later tomatoes after some of the other plants have started to fade. I've been working on an upright version of the Midwest Midnight Eclipse, and here's what those look like. There's those petunias in the basket. It's about to swallow up the basket. We got a few more zinnias planted over in front of this straw bale. Here's a look at the green stalk planter. We've got beetroot in the top. Some of that'll be ready to harvest soon. And we just made some pickled beets a while back, not long ago. Got quite a few bush beans growing in this row. I think there's 6 different kinds in this row. We picked some of those already. And down in the bottom row of beans rather, we have some Royal Burgundy. And I've got a couple of pepper projects growing in the next row above. Let me see if I can turn this around so you can maybe see some of the other peppers. There we go. That's kind of neat looking. This one down here is a Midwest Fiesta Green. It's got some really good looking foliage on it. Not very many peppers yet, but they're getting kind of shaded by the beans. Here's one with a few more peppers. That's not a very good example. This pepper was loaded with peppers and it had stopped growing and stopped producing blooms. And now it's got some new growth and it's producing blooms again, so it'll soon be loaded with peppers again. Next to it, we have a Courbaki crossed with a candy cane, and these are getting ripe. I've tasted those are pretty good. We've got 2 of those. And next to those, we have the Courbaki crossed with the Jimmy Nardello. Those are very good too, and it's loaded with peppers. And we got a Midwest Midnight Eclipse crossed with a Courbaki. They're kind of cool to look at. Same cross, different plant. Then over here we've got, let me get past this milkweed. We've got this cross. Some of these peppers are over 10 inches long. I haven't measured them lately. They might be getting close to a foot by now, but you can see they're really long. This is an F1. And we've got some cool looking peppers here. This is a cross between one of my Midwest Midnight peppers, and I think I crossed that with a Courbaki if I remember right. It's hard to remember them all. It's got some interesting looking peppers. And there's a Midwest Midnight Eclipse back here. The peppers in this grow bag are a 6-way cross. I'm not even going to try to remember all the peppers because I'm sure I'd forget 1 or 2. But you can see this sibling here has got lighter color peppers than this one over here, even though the seeds came from the same pepper. This is an F1, by the way. Here's a closer look at some of that asparagus I was showing you earlier. I don't know if it's a good idea to have those in there with the tomato, but that's where I had room for the seeds, so that's where I put them. Back by the fence, we had a volunteer watermelon that came up. And I can tell what kind of watermelon it was because it's got spots on the leaves. That is a Moon and Stars watermelon. Here's a look at a couple of ripe Shimo Furry that we looked at earlier. I went ahead and picked these 2. They're more of a pink type of tomato, and the tomato plant itself has variegated foliage. These 3 siblings are from a variegated Midwest Midnight Orange crossed with a Courbaki. And all 3 of them are a little bit different, as you would expect from an F2. This one has red peppers when they're ripe. This one has orange peppers when they're ripe. And this one back here, different shaped peppers that start out orange and then later on they get closer to red when they're fully ripe. But you can see some of the variegation on the leaves there. Here's the Midwest Midnight Eclipse 2.0. The peppers are a lot larger and taste just a little bit sweeter. I took a hybrid that was a Courbaki crossed with a Midwest Midnight Eclipse, and I crossed that with an Oda Pinot to get these peppers. This pepper is a 4-way cross, and we've got quite a few that are starting to get ripe now. This is an F1 that is a 3-way cross. Peppers are really dark, foliage is really green. Then we have another 3-way cross. Peppers are a little bit different. This is an F2, just a 2-way cross. And some of the foliage is pretty dark. That might give you an idea of the size of the peppers. Here's some Midwest Midnight Orange peppers. There's even quite a few blooms and a few peppers already. These are pretty dark. We recently made some pickled beets, and we also pickled some cucumbers. And we're also getting quite a few ripe tomatoes, and I'll show you some of those in the next garden update. If you're new to this channel and haven't subscribed yet, please subscribe. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.